I want to take you to a crime scene, but it's a quiet one. There are no sirens. There is no yellow tape. It's 2:14 a.m. on a Tuesday. The rest of the house is asleep. The only sound is the low, aggressive hum of your refrigerator downstairs. The only light comes from the blue glow of your monitor, cutting through the dark like a welding torch. You are sitting at your kitchen table and you are staring at a single number. You know the one. It's that ticker symbol you stopped talking about at parties 3 months ago. The one you used to brag about. The one that was supposed to pay for the renovation. The one that made you feel like a genius when you bought it. But tonight, the genius has left the building. Tonight, the number is red, down 18%. And here is the scene. Your hand is on the mouse. Your index finger is resting lightly on the left button. The cursor is hovering perfectly over a small, gray rectangle on the screen. The rectangle says, sell. It is a simple mechanical action. To click that button takes less than 1 calorie of energy. It requires moving your finger 2 millimeters. A child could do it. A reflex could do it. The math of your original risk model says you should do it. Your original plan says you should do it. But you are frozen. You are physically unable to push down. It feels like there is a magnetic field pushing your finger back. It feels like there is a sheet of invisible glass between you and the reality you need to execute. I want you to look at the unrealized P&L column. Minus $4,200. That's not just a number on a screen. That's the bathroom renovation. That's the family vacation to Disney World. That's 2 months of mortgage payments. As long as you don't click that button, that $4,200 is still, theoretically, yours. Not in reality, but in your nervous system. It's Schrodinger's money. It's dead and alive at the same time. Maybe the CEO announces a miracle tomorrow. Maybe the Fed pivots. Maybe it comes back. But if you click, if you exert that 1 calorie of energy, you murder the dream. You turn a possibility into a history. You turn a bad trade into a bad trader. You have to walk upstairs, wake up your wife, and admit that the Disney trip isn't happening. So you start the bargaining. You know this monologue. You've performed it 100 times in your head. You whisper to the empty room, I just want to get back to even. You tell yourself a story. If it just bounces back to my entry price, I'll sell. I promise. I won't be greedy. Just give me my principal back and I will never touch this garbage again. You sit there. You refresh the page. The number ticks down another 0.5%. The knot in your stomach tightens, a physical, visceral knot right behind your sternum. And then you make a decision. Or rather, you make a non-decision. You tell yourself, I'll give it until the morning open. You close the laptop. The blue light vanishes. You are left in the dark. You walk to bed feeling a strange, heavy wash of relief. Not because you fixed the problem, but because you bought yourself another 6 hours of pretending it doesn't exist. That moment, that freeze, that bargain, that relief isn't stupidity. It is a biological glitch called loss aversion. And it's older than logic. And it is currently costing you more money than inflation ever could. Why does that happen? Why does it feel like that? Why does a sophisticated, intelligent human being, someone who can do calculus, someone who can raise children, someone who can navigate complex social hierarchies, get completely paralyzed by a piece of red text? It feels like a defect, doesn't it? It feels like you are broken. But you aren't broken. You are just miswired. You are running ancient software in a modern environment. Let's step away from the screen for a moment and look at the machinery underneath the skin. There is a reason why that loss felt so heavy. Physically heavy. There is a reason why you can remember with vivid clarity the exact moment you lost $1,000, but you struggle to recall the feeling of making $1,000. Mathematically, money is symmetric. A $1,000 gain adds the same amount to your net worth as a $1,000 loss subtracts from it. The lines on the graph are the same length. The font size is the same. But emotionally, they aren't even the same species. Think about the feeling of winning. Imagine you buy a stock and it goes up 10%. You check your phone. You see the green number. What do you feel? You feel a little pop of dopamine, a little fizz, like opening a can of soda. You think, nice, I'm smart. Lunch is on me today. You smile. Maybe you tell your partner. But pay attention to the duration. How long does that feeling last? An hour? 2 hours? By the afternoon, you've metabolized the win. You've moved the goalpost. You think, okay, that was good. What's next? Winning is a nice to have. It's a dessert. It's pleasant, but it evaporates. Now, compare that to the feeling of losing. Imagine you buy a stock and it goes down 10%. Same amount of money. Same math. Just a different direction. What do you feel? You don't just feel the opposite of fizz. You feel a heavy, sinking weight in your gut. The feeling sticks. It follows you into the shower, to the dinner table, and wakes you up in the middle of the night. You replay the mistake over and over again. You reconstruct the crime scene. Why was I so stupid? Why didn't I wait? Why didn't I see the signs? The shame of a loss is heavy. It sits on your chest like a wet blanket. It rewrites your autobiography. You stop seeing yourself as a smart person who made a mistake, and you start seeing yourself as a loser. Psychologists have a ratio for this. They say that losses loom larger than gains. The ratio is usually about 2 to 1. That means the pain of losing $100 is twice as intense as the pleasure of finding $100. Maybe 3 times. To simply offset the emotional damage of a loss, you need a gain that is twice as big. Why is our software coded this way? Why is the system rigged against our happiness? Because for 99.9% of human history, loss meant death. For most of human history, loss wasn't inconvenient. It was fatal. Gains were optional. Losses meant extinction. We are the descendants of the paranoid. We are the children of the creatures who treated every loss as a catastrophic existential threat. Our brains are wired to prioritize not dying over thriving. Survival is strictly about loss avoidance. So when you see that red number on your brokerage app, your ancient brain doesn't see financial volatility. It sees a predator. It sees starvation. It sees winter coming. It dumps cortisol into your bloodstream. The amygdala doesn't understand stop losses. It tightens your muscles. It narrows your vision. It triggers the ancient panic center. It doesn't understand diversification. It only understands 3 things: fight, flight, or freeze. And in the context of a losing trade, flight doesn't mean running away. Flight means freezing. It means refusing to act. It means hiding until the danger passes. This is why the pain feels louder than the math. The math says, you lost $500. You have $9,500 left. Protect the $9,500. But the pain says, you are under attack. Do not move. Do not accept the injury. If you accept the injury, you die. The pain arrives first. The math comes later. And usually the math arrives too late. This isn't greed. It's relief seeking. We aren't holding because we want to make money. We're holding because we want the pain to stop. We want the noise in our head to go quiet. We want to wake up and find out it wasn't real. And once you see that, you don't get to unsee it. And this is where the real danger begins. Not in one dramatic moment. Not with one terrible decision. But with a loop. A quiet one. You don't notice it starting because every step feels reasonable. Stage 1, denial. The loss is small. 5%. Maybe 7. Nothing catastrophic. You could exit here. It would sting, but it would heal. So you tell yourself, this is just noise. Normal volatility. I'm not going to panic over 5%. And that sounds like wisdom. It sounds like discipline. But look closely. You didn't decide to hold. You just postponed the decision. You pushed it to tomorrow. Stage 2, bargaining. Now it's 15%. Now you feel it in your chest. This is where objectivity starts to slip. You stop asking, is my thesis still valid? And start asking, who else agrees with me? You open Twitter, Reddit, Discord. Not to find truth, but to find relief. You find a stranger who says, relax. This is just a shakeout. It's going much higher. And you cling to that sentence like it's oxygen. Not because it's solid, but because it quiets the noise. You aren't holding for upside anymore. You're holding to feel okay. Stage 3, the story change. Now you're down 30%. Getting back to even would take something dramatic. And somewhere along the way, the story changes. You bought this as a trade. But now you say, I'm a long-term investor. I believe in the vision. Sometimes that is conviction. But when the story changes after the price, that's not conviction. That's protection. You're not defending the asset. You're defending your identity. Stage 4, paralysis. Down 50%. The sharp pain is gone. What's left is numbness. The position becomes a ghost in your portfolio. So you stop looking. You forget your password. You avoid the app. And eventually you hear yourself say, well, I might as well hold it to 0. Think about that. You're saying the remaining money has no value, as long as selling would force you to admit the first half is gone. You choose total loss over partial humiliation. And then, capitulation. Not because the chart told you to sell, but because you're exhausted. You can't sleep. You're irritable. The stress is leaking into your life. So you sell. And the moment you do, the overwhelming feeling isn't sadness. It's relief. The threat is gone. The noise stops. You didn't exit a position. You escaped a feeling. And sometimes, almost cruelly, the price recovers afterward. And the regret cycle begins again. This loop isn't a character flaw. I've seen doctors do this. Engineers. Brilliant people. Intelligence doesn't save you here. Sometimes, it makes it worse, because smart minds are better at telling convincing stories. Your brain was never trying to make you rich. It was trying to make you feel safe. to stop the pain. So the next time you're hovering over that button, the next time your chest tightens, the next time you hear yourself say, "I'll just wait until it gets back to even." Pause. Not to calm down, not to breathe. Pause because something interesting is happening. This isn't confusion. This isn't bad luck. And it's definitely not ignorance. You know exactly what's going on. You're not analyzing the market. You're negotiating with your self-image. You're not holding an asset. You're holding a story about who you are. The story where you were right. The story where you didn't screw it up. The story where you don't have to admit anything yet. And here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. Awareness doesn't free you. It just removes the excuse. Once you see this pattern, once you recognize the freeze, the bargain, the relief, you don't get to call it bad timing anymore. You don't get to call it long-term conviction. You know what it is. And from that moment on, every second you stay in that position is a choice, not a mistake, a choice. You can still hold. No one's stopping you. Just don't lie to yourself about why. Because the market doesn't care about your story. It doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how convincing your reasons sound in your head at 2 a.m. It only cares about what you do next. And if this felt uncomfortable, good. That means it worked. Because this loop doesn't end when the price changes. It ends when you stop protecting the version of yourself that needs to be right. And most people never do.